Hello again. I am back with another block, rock, and beat, as they say. It's actually just software, so there's no beats involved. I am attempting to put NixOS, the software, on my ThinkPad P51 laptop. And so far in that saga, I have gotten to the point where I have most of the hardware working, including the GPUs really. And in this video, the last video, I sort of got that stuff going. You know, I it's not exactly the last of the low level hardware stuff that I have to configure. Got configured in the last video. It's just that I'm going to move up one level, and we're going to start to talk about more abstract things. The most abstract being this thing that we're going to call, well, they call Home Manager, which is a piece of software written by somebody in the NixOS community, which allows you to install packages only for one given user on the system and install dot files, more or less, for one given user on the system. And the normal, Etsy NixOS configuration.nix stuff really doesn't concern itself too much with user level settings. It's more about configuring the system. Home Manager is a way to declaratively define both packages and dot files for a given user, and that's its job. So we are going to get it going, as they say. In order to do that, in order to demonstrate that, I'm going to use it to configure Plasma, KDE Plasma, to remember my SSH passphrase in memory for a little while in between times that it's used. Right now, if I, let me see here. As a matter of fact, let me log out and I'll be right back, because I think right now it's going to work. I don't want it to work. I'm going to log out. I'll be right back. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. What I wanted to demonstrate to you is right now, if I try to SSH to a local machine here on my LAN, it will ask me for my passphrase, which is fine. I type it, it works fine. I can log in again. But it doesn't remember my passphrase. It continually asks me for the passphrase. And really, in reality, what you want it to do is save the passphrase for some period of time until some timeout, or until you log out of this session. And when asked for it, SSH will just pull it from a wallet somewhere, and you don't have to continually type it all the time. Just makes, particularly for doing Git stuff, way easier GitHub stuff. So I am a GNOME refugee. I'm relatively new to, well, not new to KDE, but new to KDE within the last 10 years. Yeah. Anyway, you get it. I've used KDE in the ancient past, but not for a while, not for the last 10 years or so. And out of the box, GNOME has this feature sort of just built in. You don't have to do very much to get it working. KDE, you have to create some files in various places. It's not really a big deal. We're going to use Home Manager to create those files so we remember our passphrase. That's what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do, before I do that, I'm going to I have to disable this touchpad because it's driving me mad. I'm not going to do that declaratively because it's just too irritating. I may go back and do that declaratively later, but right now I just need to disable it so I'm not typing, hitting it while I type. Oh boy, I hate that. Apply. I also would like Control-Alt-T to pull up a terminal. Control T to pull up a terminal. I would like shortcut, keyboard shortcut. And the way to do that is to do this, add console, OK, Control T, perfect. Now when I press Control Alt T, terminal comes up, very good. Okay, those are just niggles that I wanted to iron out before we do the rest of this stuff. So, Home Manager. There are a number of ways to use Home Manager. I have some deep sympathy with whoever is maintaining Home Manager. They make it as flexible as possible, and you know it's a framework, and I've written frameworks in the past, and I subscribe to largely the same dogma, which is you need to sort of come meet people where they are. You can't just force people to come over to where you are. You have to, you know, make the framework useful in a bunch of scenarios. So, Home Manager is one of those kinds of frameworks. You can use it standalone and use like a home-manager command, sort of like NixOS rebuild to regenerate, you know, the packages and dot files that you use, or you can plug it into NixOS rebuild and it will do the same thing, except you just don't have to run two commands. You just run NixOS rebuild and it manages this thing. The downside being that, you know, putting dot files in a user's home directory requires root access because NixOS rebuild requires root access. Anyway, I am deeply sympathetic to this thing. However, it does mean that the indecisive are really at a disadvantage when it comes to using Home Manager. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to make a choice. And my choice is going to be that I'm going to use NixOS rebuild. I'm going to use the NixOS module for Home Manager, and then use NixOS rebuild to build my files. So that means I'll change NixOS Etsy NixOS configuration.nix to include the Home Manager stuff after I add a channel for Home Manager. And every time I want to regenerate my dot files or add new packages for the Chris M user, I'll run NixOS rebuild. Got it? Roger. All right. So, let's see. The first thing I want to do is add a Nix channel. Now, super painful. You know, I got to add this Home Manager channel. The release 2205 channel is Home Manager, and then update this Nix channel. Note the sudo in front of this. If you don't use sudo, it will not work to try to use the Home Manager module with configuration.nix. You can also add this channel not as the root user, and then your import will fail. Just saying, this happened to me, and it caused me much pain. The docs, I'll show you the docs. I'll show you how they signify this. They do signify it. Technically, it is signified. Home Manager, NixOS. Oh, here's the wiki. Okay, so the wiki actually tells you some wild way to do this, which is like, we don't need them water. Let the Home Manager equals fetch tarball. They don't like channels. Ugh, that's brutal. All right, that's the wiki way to do it, but that's not. If you just use the first result, you're out of luck. Let's go. Oops. Let's go to the actual Home Manager manual, and as a NixOS module. So there's two. You can use it either standalone, which is what I was saying about meet them where they are. You can, if you're not using NixOS, you can still use Home Manager, and you use this Nix channel command. And note, there's a $sign here. That means you're a normal user, right? However, for NixOS module, oh, look at this pound sign. Oh, that means you're the root user. But it doesn't say root anywhere in here. It just, you just really got to be paying attention. So anyway, it's just, oof. I will say that, you know, hard to fault anybody for providing open source software. This is pretty good software. That being said, people who write software have a tendency to factor their documentation like they might factor their software. They get rid of duplication. And if there's duplicate information in their manual, they just consolidate in one place. That pound sign being that place. But you know, maybe at some point there was a little note in there that said, "Hey, you're going to need to run this as root, this Nix channel add thing." And somebody said, "You know, it's I need to refactor this. I'll just put the pound sign in there." In reality, humans don't work like that. Humans need redundant information, unlike computers do. They need to know. They need to be told many different ways how they should do it. And this is not the greatest bit of documentation. So anyway, let's change our configuration.nix. Before I do that, I'm just going to... Now, I've been through this a number of times, so the output of sudo NixOS rebuild switch is probably going to be not what yours would be, because you'll be doing it anew when I add this NixOS stuff in here. But let's see, configuration. No, sudo vi etc NixOS configuration.nix. Okay. First thing I want to do is define a variable, because I want to use chrism, and I use chrism in a couple places, so I might as well just define a variable. Let user equals chrism in that. And then, since I added this NixOS, or the home manager channel, I want to import the home manager module. Here we put that after all this stuff. All right. Okay. So let's just for fun run rebuild. All we did was import it. So okay. Did not fail. That's good. Okay. So I described to you the goal of this saving SSH passphrase. In order for it to work at all, the first thing we have to do is go into our KDE wallet and KDE wallet, K-Wallet Manager. I'm going to open the KDE wallet. This passphrase is the initial passphrase that it's PW321, the very initial passphrase that was set for our chrism user before I changed it imperatively. So I have to log in, and in order for any of this to work, I have to update the password to what chrism's password is right now, not the initial password. So I'm going to do that. All right. Okay, so that's done. Roger, got it. And it is this KDE wallet. We don't have to make any new wallet. It's the default wallet. So, and then inside of our configuration file, let's see, at the very end, I might as well do it at the very end just for fun. Okay. Just going to take all this stuff. Copy that. Home manager users user packages blah blah blah. Okay, and what this expression does here is inside of the XDG configuration home, which is slash or home slash home chrism slash dot config, create a directory named environment.d and put a file in it called ssh-aspass.conf, where the text of that file is this. Now I happen to know that kssh-aspass is in this location, this run current system as software bin. kssh-aspass because I fought for that knowledge for hours yesterday. But it is installed as a result of KDE being installed at all. It's just there. So the next line here, similar sort of thing. It's just that instead of in environment D, it's an auto start directory, and it's a .desktop file, sh.desktop. It has this content, and then inside of Plasma, configs Plasma workspace env, we have SSH agent startup, slightly different. We still have text, but we want to mark that as executable. So this is just normal Nix configuration formatting. We break it apart. Then we also have inside of config Plasma workspace shutdown a file named SSH agent shutdown, similar to the SSH agent startup, just slightly different. Also executable. Okay, and that's that inside of my chrism directory. Now let me just change my other literal chrism to user. So we make use of our new variable. Okay. So I'm going to save that, I think, and I'm going to generate that configuration. Now running NixOS rebuild, switch, should put those files in their places. Okay, so we now have a home manager chrism service in there, and inside of /config /environment.d we now have an SSH-aspass with the contents that we asked for. Same thing. We have a auto start SSH desktop. Indeed. We have a Plasma workspace env. Nope. Plasma workspace env SSH agent startup. That is executable, although I think it's a symlink to somewhere. Trust me, it's executable. It works. And inside of shutdown, we have SSH agent shutdown. Yep. And it has the contents we expect. So all that work to put these files in the places that we wanted, declaratively, and it's really good. And we don't have to ever think about that again. We don't have to look up on Google about how to do that. It's done. So in order to make this work, however, I have to demonstrate that it does work. I have to log out and log back in again. So I have to shut down OBS, and I'll be back. All right, I logged back in, and look what I'm presented with. I'm presented with a dialog that is asking me to enter my passphrase for my RSA key. So I'm going to do that. and click remember password to save it in the wallet. Right? Okay, now when I SSH to local machine here, remember I typed the password, saved it to my wallet. I should just log in. I'm just now logged in. Look at that. How cool is that, right? That is a demonstration of Home Manager and what Home Manager can help you do. Now, one kind of downside of this is that it doesn't quite work like you might expect it to with respect to cleaning up after itself. So if I go into, let's say I edit the configuration again, etc NixOS configuration.nix, and let's say that I just get rid of all this. Let's say I comment all this out. I'm sure there's an easy way to do this. I know how to do it in Emacs, don't know how to do it in Vim. Bear with me. Let's say that I just get rid of all that stuff. I don't want to do that anymore. You'd figure that right now, just for example, we have, we know that config environment.d SSH ASPass config is there, right? And that is a direct result of what I just commented out. So if I run NixOS rebuild again, switch. Okay, so it stopped the Home Manager ChrisM service. However, all that stuff's still there. It didn't get rid of it. So, it's not as clean. It is not side effect free to use Home Manager. You have to do some manual cleaning up. If anyone knows any differently, if there's some way to tell it to undo what it did, please let me know. But I think that is true. So it is a lot more like something like Ansible than it is like the other Nix stuff, which cleans up after itself pretty well. Okay, so that is that. I'm going to re-enable that. I'm going to re-enable the generation of those files. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go back to our other fourth vid script rst. I'll edit the file over here. Yeah, etc NixOS configuration.nix. Okay. So, maybe somebody could tell me this. I'm sure there's good reason for this, and I'm just confused. Maybe it's for extra configurability. Well, two things. Okay, so in normal Nix, we have a user's user, ChrisM. We define a user inside the configuration.nix file. Inside of that user, we can say the packages that user wants. So I don't have any packages. These are all commented out right now for ChrisM. But if I wanted Firefox, I could just uncomment that line. If it wasn't in the global thing, which it is, if I wanted Thunderbird just for ChrisM, I could uncomment the next line. Does anyone know why it's better to use Home Manager to do the same thing? You can actually set say programs .zsh enable inside of Home Manager stanza, inside of your user stanza in Home Manager. and it will, or Thunderbird programs Thunderbird enable, whatever. Why is that better than putting that here? Is it configurability? Is it the options you get? What is it? What is it? Somebody let me know. No one's listening to this. I'm talking to myself, I'm sure. But if you are listening to this, and and you feel like telling me, I would like to hear it. The other thing is I don't know if there is another thing. I think I just got confused here. There's no other thing. Okay. Well, I think unless I have a feeling I'm forgetting something here, but maybe not. Maybe that's good enough. Maybe we should end this video here. I must say that making this particular episode was frustrating. I lost my sense of humor at several points. It took me several hours to regain it. There's no alcohol involved. It's completely sober. Painful. Hurt. And I'm not sure that this is as compelling as the rest of the Nix stuff. It is a little janky, as far as I can tell. Just a little bit. I mean, it's useful. Don't get me wrong. But the idea that it doesn't clean up after itself is pretty painful. So please, someone let me know. Let's spread the gospel of Home Manager to me and make me believe. Make me believe. All right, folks. Well, thank you. I'm going to stop this. And if you watched until now, what are you doing? What is wrong with you?